Welcome to Catholic Messenger Conversations. Today's Catholic Messenger Conversation podcast focuses on the season of Lent, which is a time of renewal as we prepare to journey together to the Easter waters. Bishop Thomas Zinkula is here with me, Barb Arland-Fye, to talk about how to make Lent meaningful in our lives during these especially challenging times. He has also agreed to answer questions from our messenger staff about Lenten practices. Right, Bishop?
Bring it on. Bring them on.
Bring them on. Okay. First of all, your bishop's letter on Lent in last week's Catholic Messenger spoke of journeying together, supporting one another through our Lenten works of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. What steps are you supporting or taking personally to journey with the faithful in Lent?
Well, just to flesh it out a little bit, in terms of us doing Lent together, right? Journeying together, that's the theme of the Synod and all that. So, to set the stage for that, we're the mystical body. We're the body of Christ. We're connected to each other. And anyone who is suffering is a brother or sister. And so there's this idea of solidarity and communion of saints, body of Christ, all of that. So to be thinking about that with our prayers, is it just about me and kind of go into my little prayer space and me and God and that's it? Or maybe for a Lenten practice to pray for others in some way, have some petitions that you have or people that you want to pray for, write it down, whatever, pray for peace in the world, Ukraine, maybe do a holy hour for that or a rosary for that. Of course, with the Eucharist, we're all together, there's two or three, wherever two or three are gathered in my name is a special thing, with regard to communal prayers. Obviously, that's the community together. So that's like with prayer, with fasting. The Catholic Relief Service rice bowls is a big deal in a lot of parishes. So I'm fasting and have some money left over because of that, and it can go in those bowls, and it's for other people, right, that are in need. So I think, however we can, with fasting too, sometimes to think about why am I fasting, what's the purpose? We can be fasting for people who are who don't have any choice in fasting, right? Yeah. And then be thinking about them, and prayer can kick in there with that, and money, because I have some money left over for the almsgiving. They all can kind of go together, and so I think to be thinking about those on the peripheries. Pope Francis talks about them all the time. He wants to hear from them in the Synod. During Lent, we can be together through these three traditional practices if we're intentional about it and have that on our minds. How can they weave them together?
Yeah, I saw something or I was reading something in Liturgy of the Hours this morning, and it talked about doing something to not just be focusing on yourself, but one of the petitions was, and it talked about, think about people, who are suffering right now. And I thought, wow, this is really amazing. And so it made me really get settled into what I was planning to do as far as how those things work together.
Yeah, a lot of times that's natural. We think about our own life and kind of what's this thing that I need to deal with, work on in my own life, which is good and important too, but not to just be stuck there. Yeah,
exactly. Any others on that tying that all together? Or?
Yeah, no, you're asking, you wanted me to say what I'm doing, but there's those readings today, the first reading, don't, do all these things in secret, so I'd be violating
that's right,
prayer
sure.
Very fast.
Okay, then I won't share what I'm doing either.
Well, you go first, and I'll maybe share.
No. You're right. I need to do my suffering in silence, right? Yeah. Whatever. It's not supposed to be noticeable.
And then we go out with our ashes on our foreheads. Look at me.
Exactly. I'm not getting ashes till tonight, though, unfortunately.
I'm not either. I'm going to be here at Ambrose at 9:15, so I'll put them on and then wash them off before I go to bed.
Wow. So how do we avoid making our Lenten practices more than tasks on a checklist? And I have to admit, I've been guilty of that in the past. It's kind of like, okay, I did that today, good to go.
I think we just need to be more intentional about it, rather than just kind of, okay, what I normally do, whatever. And I can't say exactly what somebody should be doing, but I think for whatever we do, we should be asking ourselves, what does X, Y, Z, this prayer manner of praying, this manner of fasting or almsgiving. What does that have to do with preparing me to celebrate Jesus' resurrection? I mean, that's what Lent is, a 40-day retreat, preparing ourselves for Easter. And at Easter, we renew our baptismal promises. We recommit ourselves to Jesus Christ. So everything should be directed towards that. So whatever I'm doing, is that moving towards that, or is it more lose weight, or,
Right.
look at me, self-control? That's all about my stuff. It's not, that could be, has nothing to do with Lent necessarily. So how is this particular thing, maybe that I'm giving up or something, how is that separating me from God? How is it leading me into sin? And so not just to give it up, but to go more deeper with it, to pray about it, to go to confession, talk about it, versus or somebody who gives up alcohol to show that I'm not alcoholic because I can give up alcohol during that,
Right.
Okay, well, if that's the main intention, it's not sort of what the church has in mind. So what's
But self-control is an important part, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It depends what the purpose is, I suppose.
It's to help me be mindful of maybe a bad behavior, or maybe not a bad behavior, but something I'm doing that isn't contributing to the well-being of the world in general, that I can then be thinking about that. So if I'm practicing self-control, I'm thinking about, okay, I'm doing this because I recognize it's not
right
for...
Yeah, I think, but to bring it like the self-control, we need to be a part of this thing, but really, we need to bring God into that.
Right,
We're going to
yes.
feel something, give it to God, versus I'm going to do this all by myself. So how do you bring God into that?
I did, because this morning I said to myself, okay, God, if I'm going to be doing this particular thing, I need your help, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
Great. Yeah.
And I did, but it was just automatic. It was like sort of organic. It was like, because I was not at peace with what I've been struggling with. And then I thought, okay, I think I'm at peace with it, but you're going to have to hold my hand through this thing.
No, that's good. Because I do that too sometimes. Like, God, I just can't deal with this thing. I need your help. Sometimes I'm desperate even, hard situations.
Okay. Well, now, Bishop, these are some questions from our staff. This one's from Lindsay Steele. Do you think people, perhaps unintentionally, turn their Lenten sacrifice into a game and lose focus on what the sacrifice is actually for? And if so, can you give an example of what that might look like?
Yeah, and so we kind of were talking about that already, but I can expound on it a little more maybe. Kind of, I think one thing I was thinking about, reflecting on that whole thing with Protestants and Catholics and how are we saved? Justification by faith or by works, right? Yeah. So, and that we've come to a common understanding of that, right? And just not that many years ago. And we're saved by Jesus Christ's death and resurrection, but we have to, we do something with that. Then we live that, right? Okay. So sometimes, is it with Lent? Okay, I work really hard, and I make do the sacrifice. I can get into heaven, and through that. Yeah. Or is it something else? Is it more a deeper thing than that? A more spiritual thing than that? So I think, it's like, so how is something separating me from God and leading me into sin? Maybe our phones, the internet. Right. Or Facebook, or we all know there's a lot of good that's in that in social media and in our technology, but there's some dangers and things. So maybe that's something to recognizing some of that to maybe get off Facebook for Lent, or limit your use of the phone while you're internet and that kind of a thing. But also. So there's a giving up, and that's good. That's kind of, but sometimes that's the only thing people do for Lent, and they don't do much with like prayer, almsgiving, or anything else. But sometimes people talk about rather than denying ourselves from something and giving up something, doing something, kind of a positive thing. It's like a friend of mine, a priest friend from seminary days. One year he he wrote the names of like 40 people down on slips of paper and put them in a basket, and he drew one each day, and wrote a letter, like a short letter.
I love that idea. That's a great
one
idea.
One he wrote to me, so that's how I knew he was doing that. And it was a joyful thing. I mean, it's like it's sacrificial. You have to take time and
to do that.
And but it's not the game thing, and from this question. But it's a beautiful thing that brightens someone's day, and because it's people that he cares about, and he says that.
That kind of fits with Pope Francis's theme of do good for others.
Yeah,
in a way. I mean, it goes beyond that, but I mean, still, that's a nice start to get you thinking.
It'd be a nice balance, wouldn't it? So I give up something, but I also take on something.
Yeah,
that's good. That's because one seems more negative.
Yeah.
But in terms of I can't do this, I can't do that, but then doing this other thing, it's still sacrificial, but it's more of a positive, joyful kind of a thing.
Yeah. Wow. She also asked about fish fries. Usually all you can eat, but should you on a day of abstinence? I think we know the answer to that. But
when my first assignment, I was there. I think it was the Knights of Columbus or somebody was, or maybe just the parish in general, decided to do a fish fry on Ash Wednesday. I didn't say anything. Well, maybe I don't know what I said, but my goodness, Ash Wednesday. It's not just fasting. There's abstinence and everything, and all you can eat fish fry. It just. How does that fit? How does that fit? So, I don't know what to think about that. People have fun with that, and it's community-oriented, and,
But you can do a community-oriented thing on any other day of the Lenten season, but...
They make a lot of money with fish fries, though.
I have a hard time with that. It's about it seems kind of penitential to me, kind of self-sacrificing, right? Isn't that sort of the idea? We're supposed to be.
Well, you mean that not happening at fish fries,
right?
Yeah. Well, if you don't like fish, it would be that.
That's right. That would fit my dad. He hates.
Sometimes
fish.
people they'll have like simple soup suppers.
Yeah, and those are great.
Yeah, they are right. Yeah, and there's usually plenty to eat, but it's simple food.
And that's still community. We could still do that on Ash Wednesday.
Actually, some of those fish fries, if especially this, the fried and battered and everything, that's not good for you. So that's a denial thing. You could have some really nice, fish and everything. That's
exactly. Whatever, she also wanted to know, do you have any ideas for practicing Lent at home with young kids, since you have so many young kids? Just kidding.
Well, I grew up in a family, and I do have some thoughts, like in terms of the prayer. We pray the rosary during Lent, and there's a lot of groaning and moaning about that, So I appreciate it now, looking back. I'm not sure if my other brothers and sisters do. I became a priest, right? And they didn't go into religious life. But maybe like a decade of the rosary, if it's the young kids.
Yeah.
That's not too much. And, whether it's every day or once a week or whatever works for somebody. In terms of fasting... I remember, Bishop Barron one time talking about Lent, and he was suggesting something about, so normally you buy this quality of item, and then intentionally buy the lower quality, like generic or something. Sometimes it's not that much difference really, but so say some cereal that a kid likes and then it's a brand name, and then the others that's not quite as good, and then you. That would be some fasting, or just fast from something, period, something that you like during Lent, and then for almsgiving, a poor box, to have a box. Some people do this. They'll have every time you leave home, you put something in the box, your change or something.
Well, that's a good idea.
And then it's going to go to a particular cause. So the thing that's nice about that money you save from buying the lower quality item, you can go in there too. And it's nice. That keeps Lent in front of you. It keeps those people that you're going to give this money to in front of you. That's a really good thing. Reminder of okay, well, why am I doing this? And it keeps your mind on Lent and God. And
Or the CRS rice Lenten bowls.
yeah,
right?
oh yeah, that could be
Rice
that.
bowls.
Yeah, it could be that. You're right. Yeah, exactly. It could
So
be that.
we have to plug CRS for
Yeah,
sure. They do such
right.
a great job, right?
Yeah, they sure do.
Okay, so our staffer, Dwayne Freund, says, my father, who is 80 plus and is in good health, still fasts on every Friday during Lent. What are the current guidelines for the elderly who are in good health, individuals of any age who are in poor health, and children regarding fasting?
All right, so abstinence, that's for everybody over the age of 14. I mean, even older people aren't in good health can abstain from meat. It's not, meat is essential for our diet every day. So that's Ash Wednesday and all Fridays, right?
Right.
Including Good Friday, unless there's a solemnity. So I think St. Joseph, that solemnity might be on Friday this year. I can't
I think
remember.
it is. So are you
So
going to
then-
have a dispensation on that
No,
one?
it's in the canon law.
Oh, that's right, because of solemnity.
It's St. Patrick's where you need a dispensation.
Oh, that's...
Because it's not a solemnity,
I got all my
although it
saints'
might,
days
maybe
mixed
in your mind it is. So fasting is 18 to 59, and Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, just those 2 days, only one full meatless meal. So that's the deal. And then Good Friday, something that people might not think of. It's not like anywhere written down, I don't think, but it's kind of a traditional thing for some people. Is like so you're fasting Good Friday, but continue that fast until the Easter Vigil. So it becomes a Paschal fast, not a penitential fast, but a Paschal fast. So and it's to obviously to honor the suffering and death of Jesus. So that's I don't always do that. But sometimes I forget, but or just don't. But
So you fast from Good Friday all day?
you just continue that fast. I mean, you do the same thing you do on Good Friday on Saturday, and because then, I mean, again, you have to think about it, right? I'm not eating, so that keeps it there. It keeps Jesus has died. He's in the tomb, and so that helps us to prepare for the celebration of his resurrection more fully, because you've been fasting, and now
Except my whole mindset would be on food.
right. So whatever.
I don't know how to discipline myself from that. I'd be thinking too much about food.
Well, it's not like on Good Friday we can eat. It's just
Right.
not in between meals and no
Right.
small meals and stuff. So it's,
Okay.
yeah. So it's just
I was thinking of like a total fast. That'd be hard.
no. It's the same fast, just extended.
Okay.
And it goes from
Okay.
penitential to Paschal.
I got
It's
it.
kind of like we do on Sundays.
Okay.
We only fast an hour now.
Right.
It's the same. That's what it's. When it's the Triduum, though, and then that's a bigger fast, than just the hour thing. But that's why we do it before Sunday. It's the same kind of a thing.
Well, so he's talking about his dad fasting every Friday during Lent.
He wouldn't have to, but
He
it's
wouldn't have to,
fine.
but if that's he wants to, I don't think there's
for
any...
sure. No, it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? It's just because you can, but just because you don't have to do it doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right. And Dwayne's wondering, why did the church just continue the practice of giving up meat every Friday?
It hasn't, Barb. This is something
Remember that's
this
right.
is something people
That's right.
don't know, or
Yes.
it's so the canon is 1250. It's for the entire year. I think the bishops' conference has to weigh in on that, but it has.
Right.
So the bishops' conference encourages us to fast for the entire year, not fast, but abstain from meat on Good
That's
Friday.
Right. I forgot about that.
But you can substitute another form of penance, or self-denial. You don't have to abstain from meat but do something else, in its place.
So, for instance, your hamburger could be without a bun, right?
Well, yeah, or you do something not even food related.
Right.
Just do something kind for somebody, or but which wouldn't be a necessary form of penance. Or it could be for somebody if you don't like them very well. It could be
That's
penance, whatever.
a good one, for sure.
Yeah.
Doing something really nice for someone
Saying something nice, yeah.
you're really irritated
Yeah,
with,
there you
doesn't
go.
get along with, right?
Every Friday.
Oh, my
Got that
gosh.
covered.
Same person? Or
Yeah, same person every
different one?
Friday. That'd be,
Wow, that would be...
I wonder what's up.
Wow, that would be a conversion for sure. Phil Hart asks, how might fasting prepare the mind and body for the coming of Easter?
So, one thing that I think about sometimes and talk about is, to empty ourselves. So when we're fasting, we're emptying ourselves bodily, and the body and the spirit, kind of putting those things together. That's us, right? So we're emptying ourselves to be filled. So there's this empty space to be filled with what? God's love. It's all different graces. So that's one thing to think about, emptying to be filled later, and then we're longing more and more for food, but we can think about longing more and more for to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, or just for whatever we're looking forward to. So
that's where I would need to ask God, I think, to help me with that, to help me to long more for Jesus than for the food I am thinking about.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I mean, again, it keeps us thinking. How many times during that period are you thinking, I can't eat?
Yeah.
And don't just think about that. Think about why.
Yes.
This is why I can't eat, because it's Lent, because I'm longing for for God to fill up my life.
It's so helpful. Like if you can I think about the people in Ukraine right now, and I think so anything that I might do to sacrifice, I just keep thinking about all of the things they're being deprived of right now.
Yeah, right. That'd be cool.
And you can see it. It's something you can visualize, and I sometimes need that.
Yeah. So connect that with your fasting when like right now in between meals on Ash Wednesday. Okay, whenever that comes to mind, you think about them, pray for them. That's like I was talking about. These things can all kind of come together. So I'm hungry. Why am I fasting? But also to be in solidarity with folks. Like people. Okay, the people in Ukraine, but that's a bad situation. But in terms of people who are hungry, right?
Right.
And they can't fast because it's not an option for them. Okay, I'm hungry. These people are too. And so to bring them to prayer and to mind, I think that's a good thing.
That is very helpful. One of the priests that from Africa we were visiting with today at my staff, he mentioned that in Ghana, that young people are thinking about, where am I going to sleep tonight? What am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? Mm-hmm. And in this country, we don't have to think about, at least many of us, I don't have to think about, where am I going to sleep tonight? I don't need to think about, am I going to have another meal today? Right. Am I going to have a meal today?
I know.
And so that really makes you think about that.
Right. So theirs is just the way it is, but for us, it has to be more intentional. We choose to not eat. So then, but hopefully we can be in solidarity with them.
Right.
Through that experience.
So I'm wondering also, Tony Forlini is wondering, how do we help people avoid going to extremes on fasting and penance practices that could be harmful to them physically?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to reflect on that. One thing we're to be, our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, so we always take care of our bodies, whether it's with regard to fasting or just getting exercise or eating appropriately. So to keep that in mind, but I don't know. An extreme. What's an extreme? We have canonized plenty of people that have lived extreme lives.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. One time a couple of times I'm not going to eat at all on Friday when I was younger, and so then. That was an extreme, perhaps, but it was kind of good. It kind of, right. I was probably thinking of it more as the self-control kind of a thing, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
And then I was like, I'd go to bed late the night before, so I could eat something right before midnight, and then stay up late on Friday.
Exactly.
So I'm going to eat right after midnight. So it's okay, well, what's, this whatever kind of a thing.
Or the other thing is you could go to bed early on the day you're fasting and sleep longer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So when it gets into that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, whatever. But, it's, I don't know. There's balancing things out. But sometimes, I don't know. sometimes an extreme thing. It's not. I mean, you don't want it to, if it's not good for your health. I'm not saying that, but I don't, what does extreme mean exactly? We can't earn our way into God's love and His grace by look at me, God, I'm doing so.
That's a good point. It's probably why people do things like that, don't they? They think if I do this hard enough, if I work hard enough, God is going to see that and say, "Hey,
look at you,
good and faithful servant, here you come."
And that's the wrong attitude. It's not. I don't think that's the way to go.
Anne Marie is wondering, why is fasting required only on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a great answer on that. Good Friday, I think, is pretty obvious. It's a commemoration of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and and he's not eating that day,
Right.
and he's suffering. So for us to suffer a little bit, that's pretty obvious. With regard to Ash Wednesday, I don't know. Maybe the idea that when we say you remember you are dust, and to dust shall return, all that, it's a reminder of our own mortality. When we're fasting and a little bit hungry that day, on our lack of control sometimes, and it's a way to kind of get into Lent, so we can be praying. We can be using our minds and our hearts and being in prayer and our spirit, but then even bodily, it's a bodily way to get into Lent.
It is. I feel like it sort of centers me. Because I'm really focused, like, okay, I want to be present to this experience, and it's making me present to the experience.
Yeah, right. We can go to Mass, hopefully, and get Ash and all that. So that's that. But how do you use a whole day to kind of get into this thing? And if you're fasting, you're thinking about it. I keep on talking about kind of when we think about this, for that to go to prayer somehow.
Exactly. I realize how much I lean on God for, I need you for my sustenance, my physical and my spiritual sustenance.
Yeah. So at the beginning of something, I guess
yeah.
I mean, people, somehow it works. The ashes, people come out in droves, and the fasting and abstinence. It's
Why do people come out in droves for ashes? I've never understood that. They'll come to Mass for ashes, but they may not go to Mass any other time of year. What is it that draws people to that experience?
I think it's just the idea that we're not going to live forever. I think it's probably in most religions there's something like this.
Yeah,
this kind of a thing. It's just it's a natural human thing, and it's ash. It seems so silly, but it just reminds us of our mortality, and then that gets us thinking more deeply, and hopefully it leads us to Christ, and and faith and eternal life and everything.
I love the remember you are dust, and to dust you shall return, because it just seems so. You don't think about that on a day-to-day basis, and all of a sudden you are thinking about it like I am.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call. We need that, and we just need that.
Yeah.
Kind of we just kind of. Otherwise, we just continue through life and whatever. And it's like, but every year, no, boom, we have to look at this thing in the face.
That's hard sometimes. Anne Marie also wondered, do you have any suggested podcasts people might want to listen to?
All right, I'll share some that I listen to, somewhat regularly. So Bishop Barron, Word on Fire show, that's popular. It's every week. It's about a half an hour. There's Jesuitical for people younger. That it's America Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
It's out. There's a couple of young staffers there, a man and a woman, and they kind of target a younger audience. Although I enjoy listening to their podcast. This isn't a podcast, but there's the Hallow app for praying. Hallow, Hallow. I don't use that, but I know a lot of people that do, especially younger people. So those are some things that they can look to on the internet.
Okay, very good. Any other parting thoughts for Lent?
Yeah, no, I just some quick things that people can think about for prayer. where we're going to raise our mind, our heart to God. So we didn't. So Stations of the Cross is a good thing to do during Lent. You can find that, on your computer too, find different things on that, or just go to church. Daily Mass, maybe once a week, someday go to Mass, or every day. Rosary, Adoration, Sacrament Reconciliation, the Examen,
yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, the Society of Jesus, Ignatian, Examen, and getting in touch with our sinfulness, our attachments. That's really important to do. Fasting. So we need to, we're attached to certain things, right? And what are those things? And so to become detached from them, to set aside some, usually like a sensual pleasure and earthly kind of a thing, to empty ourselves, again, to make room for God, and to be through that fasting, I said this before, but to be in solidarity with people who are poor, living in poverty. And for almsgiving, the center of our spiritual life is love, which is to will the good of the other. I mean, God is love, and we're created in His image and likeness. So to find a way to be good to someone, right? To give to the poor, or to give of ourself, time, talent, and treasure, whatever. Prayer and fasting are meant to give rise to charity. That they should lead us to love, because they bring us closer to God, who is love, and so that should bring us closer to our brothers and sisters in Christ. So again, kind of ending where we began, just the whole solidarity thing. All these things, they should fit together.
Yes.
So
I appreciate that. I think giving up my time is the hardest thing for me, really, because it seems like it's so precious, and maybe that's all the more reason I need to look at that this Lenten season. Yeah,
and just where all of us live our lives these days, running around, and to take more time to hang out with God in prayer, or to go do something that's of service to others, whatever.
Exactly. Well, Bishop, thank you so much for your thoughts on what we can think about this Lenten season, and we'll look forward to talking with you next month on Catholic Conversation.
Great, looking forward to it.